How you doing, y'all? Matt, Matt Massa Beers here, back with another beer review, a little bit of side-by-side, courtesy of my boy Carson. We're going to be doing a little bit of Southern Swells. We're going to be doing their, look at that, rum barrel aged Imperial Stout with toasted coconut and cacao nibs against not the other rum one he sent me. We're going to go with a little bit of bourbon barrel aged jams here. This is their bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stout with banana, maple, and cacao nibs. So he sent me a couple different versions of this beer. This is their Northern Roots series. This is kind of like they're kind of big, I guess you would say, kind of Imperial Stout. And he sent me a couple of them. One broke on the way, and there's some rum barrel aged ones, some bourbon barrel aged ones, a couple different variants. I was going to do bourbon side bourbon and then rum side rum, but I thought, banana, sure, a little bit different, but, I want to do rum versus bourbon on this, and these are the two that kind of makes most sense for me. So I figured we'd dive into them. As far as variants goes, they're both 11%. Like I said, both bourbon, or words are hard. Both barrel aged, mind you. One bourbon, one rum, and then we got cacao nibs in both. One's toasted coconut, one's banana and maple. That sounds like fun to me. Hopefully it sounds like fun to you. So, let's crack into these suckers and see where they land. Thank you very much, Carson, for sending these off. If you don't know who Carson is, that's a shame. He's just the gentleman of gentlemen. He is a homebrew. You can check him out at Homebrew for Everyone on the Instagrams. You can also check him out because he's a huge Scotch head. Bigger hiss over here. So we're going to do rum over here, bourbon over here. And he sends beers like a crazy maniac guy. He is in the process of moving right now. I don't know where he's moving, but he said the next beer mail he will send off will be from his new location. And he's not going to tell me where he moved. He's just going to send me beers, and I'll have to kind of ascertain his new location based off of the beer mail. That sounds like fun to me. I'll tell you that. Beer-wise, they look identical. There's really no difference to these whatsoever. From head to body, the whole nine, they look exactly the same. So let's work my right to my left, working on the bourbon barrel aged one first. The nose. That smells really fun, to be perfectly honest with you. The funniest part about this is it comes off fruity, but not like ultra banana-like. There is a banana here, but it's more like a little bit of kind of almost like you can get it from something else kind of banana. A little bit runty. There's a nice sweetness to it. There's a sweetness to it that makes you think kind of pastry stout. You're talking about banana, you're talking about cacao nib, you're talking about bourbon barrel, and then what was the other one here? You're talking about maple, which is actually probably the least kind of impactful note on here because it doesn't really even resonate on a nose for me all that much. Even though there's a sweetness I can kind of attribute towards that, it does come off as a little bit more kind of just a added sweetness component as opposed to big maple. Nothing here is overly heavily handed in the adjunct side of things. The cacao nibs, the big chocolate component of this beer, but I think that's more the beer itself just being super chocolatey as opposed to the cacao nibs being that huge, so those meld well together. And I really do appreciate that kind of banana and that maple syrup not being like overly kind of crazy, and kind of letting the beer kind of run its own merit. Yeah. It does have that little banana runty thing. I will say that. It's not like fresh banana, a little bit more runty, but I kind of dig that. I think it works here. Let's go on this rum coconut. I mean, come on, rum and coconut. Come on, son. Rum and coconut. Let's keep swirling it. Cacao nib. I mean, again, very, very gentle here. On the adjuncts, it really is more beer here than here. Even though beer is the star of the show over here, it's more beer over here. That coconut is very light and very nice. The rum is very, very minimal here. Not that I talked about a huge bourbon component over here, but it's present and it's worth noting, even though I didn't note it yet. The rum over here is just a little bit less kind of aggressive. You can tell there's a spirit barrel involved, but I wouldn't sit here and say blindly. I would just call out rum on that. It is this soft, kind of flabby kind of liquor kind of component that might lead me down the rum realm, but it really is more beer, spirit barrel, and that soft touch of coconut. Very much like a freshly kind of ground, slightly toasted coconut, as opposed to a big, huge, robust kind of coconutty flavor you get from like super hyper toasted coconut, or an extract coconut, or even like a barrel kind of coconut. It's very much kind of moundsy in the way it kind of comes off. Bourbon first. Cheers, all. I like it. I'm not blown away by it, but it is that banana that really is the kind of curiosity of these beers. I think banana stouts, they have to be done right. So many people just get so far into weeds, or I shouldn't say people, breweries, or beers, specific beers from breweries get so far into weeds when it comes to banana, it just kind of overpowers the beer. It's not the case here. Banana is readily apparent. Like I said, it's more of a runty kind of banana to me, more than a fresh kind of banana. Not like that kind of like little tart thing you get from runts, but more in that kind of powdered, sugary banana extracty thing. I don't think it comes off all that negative, but I like the level that it's at. The beer is big. There's a bittering to it. It's nothing hyper aggressive, but it works. Really beautiful mouthfeel. The bourbon is there, but again, everything here is very much kind of in tune across the board, as far as levels go, at least. And that nothing is getting like super out of hand as far as aggressive. That's my favorite thing about the beer. All the components are a little bit singular. Nothing here is melded like no complete unit. That's probably my biggest knock on it, is that it tastes like a beer with bourbon, a barrel, banana. The maple's pretty missing for me, although there is a sweetness there. I can attribute it to the maple. And probably the biggest kind of mixture or cohesiveness is that mixture of the beer and the beer portion of the show, and that chocolate. It's just kind of, that's where everything kind of harmonizes. Everything else is very singular, not in a negative way. It's not coming off as like poop. Suck this beer. It's Pornhub. F this beer. But it's just a little herky jerky for me. One more sip. I think it's fun. Let's put it that way. Rum and coconut, baby. Cheers, y'all. Yeah. That's my jam. Still not getting like crazy into like some otherworldly level of stoutiness for me, because that's the word, stoutiness. And they can do it at Southern Swells. That one of my biggest kind of pet peeves is Carson sent off there was one of their coffee jams, and he sent me off not just the beer but the coffee that they made with it. And what I did was I kind of drank that coffee that they sent me over a week, and then went into the review, and it was probably one of the best coffee beers I had. Now, was that week of training my palate to appreciate and enjoy that coffee, does it have something to do with it? I don't know, but it was really, really good. But my camera screwed up. Video was pretty much unwatchable. You could hear the audio, and it was kind of weird and herky-jerky, but I posted it just for him to watch because he was curious, and it was that freaking good. So Southern Swells has it inside of them to do amazing barrel-aged stuff. It's a little bit more kind of what I'm used to, and what I'm used to Carson sending me from the brewery. The beer is even bigger here. There's a bigger roast, a bigger kind of pseudo coffee component when it comes to how the roast kind of comes off in this beer. The mouthfeel is actually probably maybe a skosh thinner than over here, but it's negligible, so it's not like a big thing I'm gonna kind of knock at. But it's way that coconut, that cacao, and that rum barrel kind of work together. Again, rum isn't big here. It's on the nose. Didn't come off gigantic. It's not coming off gigantic here, but it's enough to be impactful. When you marry that with the coconut, it's a little bit more like, instead of just being like a handful of coconut and a big shot of rum, it's like think of it like a cordial candy. and they had like rum soaked coconut cordial kind of candy. That's where it's coming off here. This is not this big, huge, boozy thing that you expect, this big punch of just fire from all the components that are really just trying to blow your dome off. It's really more of kind of the best subtle parts of each one of those components in a relatively aggressive beer. But everything here is a little bit more kind of in tune, a little bit more in concert, into where it's not as singular. And that's why this one, hand down, wins for me out of this pair. It's a fun side-by-side. I'm really glad I ended up doing this, just to kind of see the difference between the way both of these played. I'm not pooping on this beer over here by any stretch of the imagination. It's tasty. It's fun. That's where the biggest kind of praise for this would come for me, is it's fun. This is a little bit more, I almost said the word classic. You know, you're talking about rum barrel aged, cacao nibbed, coconut beers. There's nothing classic about that. But there's something a little bit more kind of refined. Maybe that's a little bit better way to put it. In that the beer's a little bit more cohesive. And it just, everything works a little bit more in conjunction with each other to where I just enjoy it a little bit better. And that's where this one kind of comes off. But, I mean, great side-by-side. Thank you very much, Carson, for doing this. And you know how we roll. Gotta do that super cuvee and see where we land. I could see this one being really, really nice, so I'm kind of curious. Cheers. That's a fun one. That is absolutely a fun one. I think you're getting the best of both of these worlds in these beers. Yeah, I think you're getting the best of both of these worlds. You're getting a little bit of the subtle banana flavoring. You're getting a little bit more of that kind of spirit involved, so that kind of kicks up the spirit portion of the show. It kind of lets the rum come up. It's almost like a little bit of an amplifier for the rum. And then just the way that coconut kind of blends into there, it kind of really, really works. Makes me think of more of a tropical drink than a big old burly stout in a very fun way. That's a super fun one. Not gonna lie to you. I like that. Yeah. The cuvee. The cuvee knows. The nose knows. The cuvee knows. Stouts, baby. What do you want from this guy? I'm done. This is very fun. I enjoyed the crap out of this. I'm very glad I got to try it. This is a little bit more kind of my speed. So in the grand scheme of things, it's one of the better ones I've had. Not towards the top. One of the better ones I've had eking towards the top. None of this is Mount Rushmore for me. In the grand scheme of things, a very, very fun side-by-side. Thank you very much, Carson, for sending these off. So it's up to you guys now. Let me know. Have you had a bunch of Southern Swells? What do you think of the brewery as a whole? Let's have a broader conversation about that, but let's whittle it down. Let's say, have you had this Northern Root series? What do you think about it? Have you had it in the past? Have you had it presently? Have you had these specific beers? That's the conversation I want to have. I want to have all y'all have in the comment section below. So there you go. Side by side in books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.